Let's go over 10 things that will instantly make you a better Dynasty player in college football 26. If y'all enjoy this style of content, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, check out the ebook down below, and we will be live on Twitch later tonight, so tap in. So let's get right into it. First thing, players leaving. Once you hit this screen, obviously you have your players leaving. Well, if y'all didn't know, you could look at other players leaving around the nation. And now that the transfer portal is in a much better spot where players are starting off in the open stage, look around, man. Like, you see some guys entering the portal, especially look at some of the bigger schools. You kind of get a glimpse of what their overall is going to be. Like, we have a 92 overall receiver, and you also get to see his hometown. So you know they usually like to go to their hometown. You can also see their deal breaker, championship contender. So if we're a good team, we might have a chance for this guy, you know? So just go around, make sure you're looking, get some eyes, and you also can see physical abilities, man. That's a big one. You're able to see what abilities that guy will come in at, and also able to see directly what overall he will come in at. So take advantage of this screen before you sim to the off season. Number 2, the transfer portal is now the best thing ever, especially for any smaller program for a rebuild. You could rebuild a team all transfer portal work in 1 year. You could turn a 60 overall to a 90 overall. We did it in a video. This is now your best friend. This is your best friend for a small team, man. If you want a slow rebuild, avoid the portal, because you could literally flip a roster in 1 year. And if you're a good team, you have players moving on, you know, you just won a national championship, all you guys are transferring out or graduating, the portal is very, very useful, man. Them adding the addition of the open stage is tremendous, because so many 3 stars, you also have not that many 4 stars start off in the open stage, but the amount of 3 stars, and a lot of these guys are free 99. A lot of these guys will never ever get even a scholarship offer, so you could get them for free, and that's tremendous for a smaller program. Also factor in when you see national rank for the transfer portal, that is overall base. I just showed y'all everyone is overall and how you can see it before you hit the portal. Well, guess what? You know, you come over here and look at the number 1 player in the whole entire portal. Guess what? He's just the highest overall player. Carl Sapp. We just looked at his overall. He's for Michigan, 92 overall. He's the best player. So we know when we see the number 2 player, he might be a 91. You know, so just know this is directly in order of overall. When it gets to quarterback, that's where it changes, man. Quarterback is going to be a little bit different. They value quarterback different. So you have a 4-star quarterback, his overall is not going to be, you know, number 17 quarterback, number 17 player in the nation. His overall might only be in the low 80s. They factor quarterback a little bit differently, so just keep that in mind. Number 3, playbook is everything in simulation. Everything. Roster obviously matters, who starts, what position, scheme, but playbook matters tremendously. A little bit too much, I think, man. You constantly see Duke University going 16-0. Like, literally doing crazy stuff, making the playoffs every single year, or way too often, as their roster is literally in like the 70s. And it's because they have the best playbook in the game. So if you want to win games in simulation, I know it's not ideal, go with the Veer and Shoot Duke playbook, man. Veer and Shoot, for some reason, is the best offensive playbook in the game. Defensive playbook, I don't know the best. Last year, I loved the 3-3-5 tight defense right here. This year, I don't know the best. If you know the best, comment down below. But if you're not winning games in simulation, change up your book, man. That's probably what it is. Go to the Duke Veer and Shoot if you want to win games. You're going to produce tremendously, especially if you have a good roster. Upgrading your head coach takes forever. They increased the level to 100, but you know, what it is everything's just so much more expensive, man. Instead of everything costing 5 or 8, no, it's upped. So if you want to unlock another group, you want to go into another category for your head coach, everything just costs so much more. Don't be afraid to start with this pre-order bonus. If you pre-order the game, you could put this bonus on and start with the 100 extra coach points. Don't be afraid to use that. Also, don't be afraid to go ahead and turn this XP slider on to at least faster or fastest, man. Don't be afraid to do that, especially if you're not planning on doing a long rebuild. I think the way the game is meant is for you to rebuild a team for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, and for you to gradually unlock stuff for your head coach. As to unlock some of this stuff takes a long time. Like to win 5 rivalry games take a while to unlock some of this stuff. To get 2 players drafted takes a while to unlock talent developer, especially if you're a small program. So don't be scared to put this thing on faster or fastest, especially if you plan on doing a quicker rebuild. If you're not going to be in a dynasty for 8 years, put this thing on faster and unlock your coach stuff way quicker. It's worth it, man. Try it out. No one's going to judge you. I think it's definitely worth doing, especially if you just want to have fun. Also, gameplay sliders, man. For me, it seems like all Heisman is not it, man. Last year, just the Heisman default setting, I really enjoyed the gameplay. Don't be scared to adjust these sliders, man. If you're winning too frequently, change these sliders. Adjust them. If it's too difficult, go down to All-American, man. I always suggest starting off on Heisman. If it's too challenging, go to All-American. The way it's supposed to work, All-American is supposed to be the more realistic gameplay. So if that's what you're aiming for, maybe you should start off on All-American. But if you want the most challenging gameplay, if you want it to be difficult, that's when Heisman comes in. So Matt 10, in my opinion, have some of the best sliders. That's why I use for my Purdue series. Check it out over there, or just check out Matt 10, man. He produced some pretty good sliders. Also, XP sliders, don't sleep on these, man. I think they're a requirement for some position groups, man. We just dropped our defensive tier list, and one thing that I taken away from going through the whole entire defense, D tackles just don't develop as well as defensive ends. And, maybe it's like that in real life, but in the game, they are nowhere near as good as the defensive ends. So I wouldn't be against increasing this to 200. I don't have the perfect XP sliders, but y'all play y'all Dynasty. Y'all see what y'all see, man. But also, this stuff seems to affect the other side of the ball. It's weird, man. You increase defensive tackles, now the centers might also get worse. It's weird. But also, another position group that seems to be maybe a little bit too good is wide receivers. Maybe you want to go ahead, decrease this to 75. In real life, there's always great wide receivers in college football and the NFL, so maybe having a lot of great wide receivers in the game is not a bad thing. But if it's a little bit too much, go ahead and adjust these sliders. This is your dynasty, man. Don't be scared to tinker with some of this stuff to perfectly fit you. Number 6, and this is going to be a 2-parter. Transfer portal visits mean nothing. Don't do them. Don't waste your time. Do not waste your time. Also, when it comes to the transfer portal, especially when you're a smaller school and you see a lot of these guys obviously don't commit anywhere. We've been through this 100 times. Hopefully some point it gets fixed. But when you're going through and see these guys in the open stage and you're trying to figure out who should I pursue, go after the guys that's coming from the bigger schools and the freshmen. For example, we got a freshman from Tennessee. He's a 3-star in the portal. He's only ranked number 408. So his overall is going to be lower, but he's a freshman from Tennessee. In real life, he probably was a 4-star. Because you think about it like this, the bigger schools are bringing in better players. This guy probably transferred out because he wasn't getting enough playing time. So when you bring him in, he probably was a former 4-star or a former 5-star. So his development trait is probably going to be better, and development trait is everything in this game. We'll get into that in a second. So I'll much rather go after this freshman guy from Tennessee rather than this sophomore from Louisville who is also a receiver. His rank is even higher, but at the same time, we get a freshman from Tennessee that might be a better player going forward. So I'll much rather go after that guy than, even the Temple, sophomore that's going to come in as a junior, because it says sophomore, they're going to come in a class higher. So just prioritize that, man. Prioritize the guys that's coming from the bigger schools rather than, a guy coming from Rice. Much rather go at the USC guy that is coming in. So just prioritize that because you're probably going to get better development trait out of these freshmen. Number 7, the most important thing for player development is going to be development trait, as it should be. Last year, that wasn't always the case, but this year, If you have a guy with star development, that gap from impact to star is tremendous, man. Star elite development, they need to start early. Freshman, sophomore, they're going to transfer out, and you don't want to have these star guys transfer out, because when you hit this off-season training, they get a significant amount of more XP than the impact or the normal development guys. So keep that in mind. So that also leads to, when you recruiting, the most important thing for recruiting is, one, either going at the 4 stars and 5 stars, because those are the players that's going to come in with higher development traits. And also gems, because gems directly mean they're at least going to have impact development. And they also might have stars. So you got to prioritize those things when it comes to recruiting. And then also when it comes to, obviously development and off-season training, and also cutting guys. You don't want to cut guys with star, impact, or even elite development. Should never cut them guys. I always prioritize cutting the guys with normal development. Even if their skill caps are in a great spot, I'll much rather have that star development guy. But it's also the chance to increase development. What's the best way to do that? I'll drop a whole video on the best method to increase development, but what I will tell you, win an award for a young guy, and that development trait will increase most of the time, man. Win an award, whether it's offensive, quarterback of the year, whatever, win an award, and that will consistently increase development. But like I said, I'll cover a whole video talking about it. Next, you could use playing time to pretty much determine any player overall in this game, man. I'll use the example. We'll go super quick because I covered this a few times, especially with the athlete 3-star quarterbacks. It's probably the most useful method of it, man, because you can find the best quarterback in the entire class without scouting and in pretty much a minute. So on the right side of the screen, you see the playing time grade, and you see it's at a D. This guy's also at a D. And we'll continue to go down, and you'll see when you get the A+ like this, well, this guy is probably going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the draft, or in the class. And you look at him, scout him, and yes, he's amazing. 3-star quarterback, and look at those attributes. And we easily able to identify that just by the playing time grade being an A. And we could continue to go down if we have anyone else. And nope, that's going to be the only guy that's, what I would consider the generational prospect, the generational athlete 3-star recruit. All the other guys have the D grade, so we know they're not worth it. But we was able to identify that instantly, just by looking at that within seconds. You can do this with other position groups, but it's probably most useful for this quarterback. And look at this guy, man. I mean, he looks crazy. Number 9. Don't start the best player. Do not start the best player at every position. You really have to go through and look through, man. For example, quarterback. The CPU wants to start Jalen right here. I would argue against that. We have an elite development, red shirt freshman with 95 speed. Attributes look very good. He should be starting without a doubt. Do not just start the best players. You got to go through and look through every single position. You sometimes might have an elite development freshman, and if you redshirt him, he will transfer out. You want to get these young guys with star elite development some type playing time, so you cannot just start a random player, man. We dropped the offensive version of just, going through the whole entire depth chart, who you should start and why. I'm working on the defensive one that will be dropping this week also. So next, we actually have a gameplay tip for you guys, man. When you're running the ball, never press R2, never sprint. Whatever console you're on, never sprint behind the line of scrimmage. Instant sheds when you sprint behind the line of scrimmage, man. Like, we don't sprint here. The blocking holds up solid. But over time, you'll really consistently notice, man. Like, let's sprint behind the line of scrimmage. Obviously, that guy came through free. But you'll consistently notice when you sprint, another sprint here, instant shed. When you sprint behind the line of scrimmage, a lot of you guys should notice at this point, do not sprint behind the line of scrimmage. When you do not sprint, you get better blocks. We didn't sprint there, a little bit better blocking. You'll consistently notice it over time. Whenever you want your blocking to hold up, do not sprint, man. We didn't sprint there, and it was better blocking. And like I said, just that is practice you need to know at this point, man. Do not sprint behind the line. So one last bonus for you guys. If you come over here to user settings and then come over here to audio settings and go all the way to the bottom, you could disable the notification for the music that pretty much blocks your deal breakers, you could disable that. I don't even know why that was ever enabled, man. I don't even have music on, but that thing still is enabled. So after this update, you can now turn that off. If you didn't know, the setting is here, and you can turn it off for your Dynasty. Also, let me know if y'all want to see a part 2 of this, man. I could drop another 20 versions of this about just little tips that you guys should know and that could help instantly improve your Dynasty. So let me know if y'all want to see that. But that's all I got for y'all boys, man. If y'all enjoyed this content, like, comment, subscribe. Check out the book down below. Check out the Twitch we live tonight. Appreciate y'all. We on to the next one.